BCS standings brought to you by Tostitos, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. They'll try to win their first national championship since 1988. Fourth time the Irish have been in a BCS Bowl. First time they've been in a title game. They'll face Alabama, the Crimson Tide, trying to establish a dynasty by winning its third BCS title in the last 4 years. Just behind the two teams that will play for the BCS National Championship, the Florida Gators. Now, because of BCS rules, Florida, not a conference champion, but ranked in the top 3. That means the Gators have an automatic spot in a BCS Bowl, almost certainly the All-State Sugar Bowl. At number 4, Oregon does not have an automatic spot, but they are an absolute, or at least a virtual lock to go to the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. At number 5, Kansas State, champions of the Big 12, win the tiebreaker, get the automatic bid to the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, almost certainly to face Oregon. At number 6, Stanford, champions of the Pac-12. They will go to the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio to take on Big Ten champion Wisconsin. At number 7, Georgia. Some thought that maybe Georgia could stay ahead of Florida in the polls, maybe stay in a BCS game. Didn't happen. Remember, BCS rules say only 2 teams per conference. Dogs can't go to a BCS game. Neither can number 8 LSU. The Hat with another 10-win season. They too out of a BCS mix. Same for Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M, another 10-win team from the SEC, and yet another one in South Carolina. All of these SEC teams, great seasons, but no place for them in the BCS at this moment. So the national championship game is set. 2 old rivals and powers, Notre Dame and Alabama. Fighting Irish are 5-1 against the Crimson Tide all time, including a couple of meetings in bowls in which the national championship was at stake for one or both. Alabama claims 14 national titles. Notre Dame claims 11 and a handful of other ones as well that weren't consensus titles. 2 giants of the sport meet January 7th on ESPN. And we're going to spend a lot of time the rest of the night talking about this matchup. A little bit later on, just a little over a half hour from now, you'll hear from Brian Kelly and Nick Saban. But there's no drama there in that spot. But I want to go through the math for all of the BCS games for you. When you add up all of the conference champions, Florida also getting an automatic bid, and Notre Dame getting one as a non-conference winner, as an independent, that means 8 of the 10 slots are already filled. Factor Oregon into the mix, the absolute logical team to go to the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. That means only 1 spot remaining for an at-large in a BCS game. Now, that's where Oklahoma, Clemson hoping to be candidates. But as we unveil the rest of the BCS standings, if you see Northern Illinois pop up at 16 or higher, there will be no room for an at-large spot. Why is that? Because Northern Illinois, this is what they would have to do to qualify automatically for a BCS bowl game. They won their conference championship. They're the highest-ranked non-AQ champion. They have to finish in the top 16 and finish ahead of a champion from an automatic qualifying conference, which they almost certainly will do with the Big East and almost certainly will do with the Big Ten in terms of Wisconsin being the champions of the Big Ten. This was a rule that was put into place sort of against the backdrop of the controversy of allowing access to the teams outside the big conferences. And you know, you have to be a conference champion too. Remember Boise State last year, ranked number 7. They beat Georgia and didn't get involved. So here are the BCS standings brought to you by Allstate. Oklahoma is number 11. They qualify for an at-large spot if there's one available. Just behind the Sooners, Florida State ACC champions. They're going to the Discover Orange Bowl. Just behind the Seminoles, Oregon State. Beaver. Probably not going to the BCS, but they would qualify as an at-large. The final at-large qualification spot would belong to the Clemson Tigers at 10-2. Top 14 qualify to be chosen as an at-large. At number 15, Northern Illinois. And for the first time in BCS history since 1998, a team from a non-AQ conference that's not undefeated will make it into a BCS game, and this is where Northern Illinois and Jordan Lynch will go. They'll go to the Discover Orange Bowl to take on Florida State. They'll go with Jordan Lynch, their star quarterback, who we'll also hear from in 45 minutes or so, but they will go without their head coach, Dave Doran, who just took the job at North Carolina State. So Florida State and Northern Illinois, what's your reaction to this? Northern Illinois getting it? Is it the right thing?
No, I don't agree with it. I don't think that they should be there. My first thought process in this matchup is Cincinnati. When Brian Kelly leaves, he's gone.
2009.
With Florida, they go against Florida in the Sugar Bowl. That's my first reaction. Jordan Lynch has had a heck of a season. The kid is a baller. I love everything about his game. They lost to Iowa. I can't. If you play a tough schedule and you go undefeated, we've talked about that. If they'd have went undefeated, maybe you have no problem with it. But losing to a team like Iowa, I think it takes them out of the mix. I don't think they belong in a BCS.
I agree with Davey. I think they've had an outstanding season. They're one of the most fun teams to watch in the entire country, but I have an issue with their resume with respect to them getting into a BCS game. You mentioned it. The 7 non-AQ schools that ever played in BCS bowl games all went undefeated, and a lot of them had impressive wins against AQ competition. Northern Illinois, as Davey mentioned, lost to Iowa, a team that had 2 wins in Big Ten play. Their impressive win against AQ competition this year was Kansas by 7 points. Their most impressive win this year was in the MAC championship game against then number 17 Kent State. If you believe Kent State was really the 17th best team in the country, which I don't, because they lost to Kentucky by 33 points. Jordan Lynch, outstanding player. It's been a great year. I don't think they should get to go. I think Oklahoma, number 11, having their 2 losses against top 5 competition, is more deserving to play in a BCS bowl game.
Okay, a couple of things first. We're going to get to Kirk on this. Kirk, here's how it happened. They get up a couple of spots in one poll, 3 spots in another. They really jumped in the computers. They go from 23 to 12 in one computer. Highest one gets thrown out. But they're 12 in another computer. Now, with the rules being set this way, the rules also allow a team with 5 losses like Wisconsin to go. They allow Louisville to go. They're ranked ahead of both of them. So what's your reaction to Northern Illinois being in a BCS game?
Well, I think we get so caught up in who goes to the championship and the debate about 1 and 2. This is a great example of how it's not just about the BCS and about 1 and 2. The fact that Northern Illinois is in the BCS in 2012 is really a sad state for college football and where we are with the current system, and the fact, thank goodness, we're moving towards a new system in 2014. They don't deserve to be in the BCS this year. Are you kidding me with Northern Illinois playing in the BCS? There's 2 things here that stand out. Northern Illinois, nobody even knew they were playing until they got to the Toledo game about 2 weeks ago. With the examples of Utah and TCU and BYU in the past, and even Hawaii, who got blown out by Georgia, they were a story for 6 or 7 weeks. There was a build-up, and you could really look at their resume and say, hey, look, they won this game or they won that game. With Northern Illinois, and I love Jordan Lynch, like you said, and it's a great team with Dave Doran, but you're going to leave Oklahoma out to put Northern Illinois in to a BCS bowl game? Are you kidding me? That to me, of all the years we've had these BCS discussions, putting Northern Illinois or a Kent State in the BCS this year would really be an injustice to these teams, such as you just mentioned. We have this other rule where we can't have more than 2 teams get into the BCS from one conference. Who came up with this rule? Whatever you do as BCS conference commissioners and however you want to give the money to whoever you want to. But to leave teams out like Georgia and Florida and Texas A&M and Oklahoma, all of us want to see those teams in games that matter in the BCS bowl games, and you're going to give us Northern Illinois.
All right, Kirk, let me play the other side. We've got about 30 seconds here. Now, Northern Illinois, the rules were established. They played by the rules just like Wisconsin did, just like Louisville did. You could argue that neither of those teams are worthy of being in the...
Yeah, he let him have it.
Both teams won their way in, taking conference. Report now that offensive coach Rob Cowrie will coach